Hey there guys, welcome to Anthony Reviews, where Anthony Reviews, and today we are going to be unboxing the Mafex, Knightfall, Batman, and Bane. Now, if you've been watching my channel before, you'll know that I've gotten to a recent kick of the Mafex figures, these import figures, these DC figures. I think they are awesome. I love these figures. They've become some of my favorite DC figures to collect. So, with the announcement of doing Knightfall figures, now they had done it Azrael before, but now we have Batman and Bane, some iconic characters you're going to need if you're going to do a Knightfall sort of collection. So I'm very, very excited to get these figures. I mean, just looking at them in box, they look awesome. So in terms of boxes, we'll go ahead and take a look at Batman here first. We have a nice sort of open window with a photo of Batman down there. Nice clear Batman logo. I like that Batman logo. I like the red with the yellow and, very simple kind of just Batman across the Bat logo in the back there, but overall it looks nice. You do get a good look at all the different accessories he comes with, which obviously we will take a look at pretty soon. Nice portrait of the character on the side. And then on the back, we can get an idea of what this figure can do. Just all the different kind of posing and everything, and the style of the cape. And it's exciting. It's a fun little tease of things to come with Batman. So, very excited to get this opened up, as if that wasn't already obvious. And then with Bane, you can see that this is a much, much bigger box here. He's going to be a pretty massive figure, which I'm excited to kind of see how he scales with other sort of Mafex figures here. But once again, a nice preview of things with this open window here. Nice picture of Bane down below. Same logo and everything. Nice big, wide, beefy Bane on the side. And then some more sort of like previews of what this figure can do. Of course, they're going to kind of show you the famous sort of back-breaking moment, which, I mean, it's Bane. It makes the most sense that that's how you're probably going to be displaying this guy. So, you want to make sure that that's what it can do. It can do the thing that Bane is sort of known for. As always, there is a part of me that feels a little, guilty, I guess, when opening boxes like this. Like, it's a nice box. You get a nice view of the figure. Like, ultimately, they do look good in box. But hey, that's not what we're here for. This is an unboxing video. I want to get these figures in hand. So let's go ahead and we'll start with Batman here. Why not? Looks like we have a separate cape here in the box. There he is. I don't want to tip it over because all the pieces will fall out. Definitely a very angry, upset Batman. So this is what Batman looks straight out of the packaging. And I mean, first thing I notice is I really like the colors on this thing. I like the sort of dark gray of the suit mixed with the very bright blue and the bright yellow of the belt. It looks nice. It looks like you imagine this sort of comic book Batman. Looking at the figure, we do have a nice sort of muscular build. He's not too sort of beefy, he's not sort of like a square shape. He still has sort of an athletic build, but overall you do have some sort of nice muscular detail, which at the time in the sort of 90s period is an appropriate look for Batman. The symbol is very interesting just because of the way it's sort of sculpted in on these sort of very prominent pecs here. From right on, it does look very nice and sort of oval shaped. Although you'll notice if you get it at a certain angle, it does give it almost like a heart, very upside down heart from the top here. But if you look at it just sort of straight on, you're not going to notice it. But that is sort of caused by the indentation, the sort of like I guess, cleavage of Batman here. The head sculpt on this Batman is very strong. I do like the sort of grimacing nature of him. I mean, it's Batman. It's that era. It makes sense for the character, but I like the sort of shape on the big sort of white eyes and everything. The ears are a good length, and as you'll see here pretty soon, we do have some sort of alternative pieces for Batman as well. It is a Mafex figure, so, articulation is really nice. You've got these sort of drop-down legs and double-jointed limbs and everything. It's not the best when it comes to articulation from what I've noticed. Like, I feel like he could probably get some more movement out of the torso, but it's certainly manageable, I would say. There's nothing in here that feels particularly obtrusive or constricting or anything like that. It does still feel like you have a very articulated Batman figure without any sort of major issues or anything like that. Cloth capes for the Mafex lines, especially for Batman, has been a bit, it can be a bit divisive for some fans. And so for this one, you do get this sort of nice plastic sort of shoulder piece, which does give it that spiky look if you're a fan of that version of Batman. So you do have sort of a nice swooped back look for the cape. We'll see a comparison later on with something like the Hush Batman, but obviously that one had a very big cape, and honestly, you can get some good looks out of it, you know? You could get some very nice, big, flowy looks, but for standard poses, it didn't work as well. I would say here, you know, it's definitely, you can tell that there's a lot going on back here, but you can get it just sort of standing right behind him, which you couldn't really do super well. If you finagled it, you could, but you couldn't get it as easily done with the Hush figure. But for the cape here, we do have bendy wires in the cape, so you can kind of see in here there's multiple bendy wires. So you've got it like one here on the sort of outside there, nothing in the middle, but once again you have the two on the outer side. So if you want to, you can get some nice sort of spread out Batman poses here. So even just playing around with it, you know, not going too in depth and getting every little detail right, as you can see, you can get some sort of fun dynamic posing with this figure between the cape and the arms and everything. It is pretty cool. So as you can see here for Batman, he does come with a whole bunch of alternate hands, a sort of grapple hook there. We've got alternate heads and a whole other cape. So swapping the heads is super easy. It's just popping it off on a sort of ball peg there, and so you can have this very, very long-eared sort of like Legends of the Dark Knight style Batman, and I mean, especially with the sort of like horned shoulders, really, really cool. I mean, just a really sort of scary, intimidating Batman. I think that's awesome to have such variety. You know, I really don't think of like this version of Batman facing off against someone like Bane, but at the same time, it does sort of work for this like scarier version of the character. Yeah, pairing some of these sort of alternate hands here with this alternate head does kind of give him a very sort of like intimidating, like coming at you sort of feel to him, which, you know, is appropriate, like appropriately scary just to have this version of the Batman coming at you at night. Yeah, probably not ideal. So the way that the sort of like cape plugs in and everything on the bottom of the cowl, as you can see here, there's sort of pegs that go into the back there, and then you've got this front piece, so you just kind of pull, and then you have this sort of naked looking Batman. He also does come with this sort of capeless cowl piece with this alternate sort of head with the sort of like air mask, sort of like rebreather on. So if you want to get him in some sort of like underwater swimming poses, you can, which is pretty unique if you ask me. You know, swimming Batman is not exactly a super common thing. So to have this sort of option, if you want to have him sort of underwater, maybe if they release like a Killer Croc, I mean, Killer Croc was featured in the Knightfall story, so if you want to get a Robin in there as well, this wouldn't be too crazy to kind of fighting off against a more aquatic-themed character. And then if you want it with a bit more of a sort of relaxed cape, you know, sort of a simple, how you'd imagine him sort of Batman cape, you do have another option there, and that plugs right into the sort of like chest and the back with the small pegs. They're pretty soft, they're pretty malleable, so you shouldn't have any issues with breakage unless you're just really rough with it. So that's what it kind of looks like plugged in. And then I also have him with this sort of like bendy wire grapple hook that he has. Very old school, you know, no grapple gun or anything like that. It's just sort of a bendy wire and kind of like a Batarang-esque object there at the end. So if you want to have him with that, that is also an option for you. All right, let's go ahead and get Bane open. He is a big boy, my goodness. There he is. And now we've got Bane out of his box, and I mean, I gotta say, he is a very chunky figure. Like, he is a satisfyingly big figure for, you know, is a big guy, right? Like, it's Bane. You want him to be big. You want him to be intimidating, and I do get that feeling quite a bit from this Bane figure. I haven't had a whole lot of experience with Bane figures in my time. I don't have the DC Universe Classics figure. I had the McFarlane figure, and I sadly don't have it anymore. I say sadly. I was an amicable split, I will say. What does that mean? Anyways, I don't have the DC Direct, so really, there was a lot of desire for this Bane figure. You know, to have the sort of definitive take on the sort of 90s Dixon era Bane. You know, like that's his time. You know, that's where he really shined with that first Knightfall storyline. So, does this figure live up to the hype? I mean, yeah, I think he does. The wonderful sort of paint detailing on the muscles here is really, really nice. Like, I love the way that you can really tell, like, all the details and the crevices here, and he's got sort of like arm hair painted on there, which is really cool. It doesn't feel like it's sculpted, it is just painted on, but I mean, it gets the job done. You can tell that he's got some nice hairy arms, you know? He's very barrel-chested, he's a big, huge guy. Just all the details from the different sort of stylings from the pants to the boots, it does look really good. The face itself is pretty damn perfect. He does come with an alternate sort of face here, which we'll get to in a moment, but overall, I mean, when you picture Bane in your head, you know, you had this sort of idea of what Bane looks like. This is it. Like, it really is that character brought to life. You know, you could probably pick out some discrepancies in color or the sort of size of them or whatever, depending on, you know, which Knightfall artist you're talking about, but overall, the mental image of Bane is this one. Articulation is really nice on him. I feel like you can get a nice amount of crunch here. His head looks decently up. You know, you get some nice sort of bends and all the limbs here. So if you want to kind of like really have Bane sort of crouched down and ready to fight, like this, you know, like once again, you know a figure is good when you're sort of just messing around with them, not really an idea of where things can go, and you feel like you have something that could be put on a trading card. You know, like, that's Bane right there. That's the guy. And I was just sort of fiddling around with his sort of limbs and everything, and all of a sudden, I just made sort of a really cool looking Bane pose here. So, to me, once again, I feel like that is a really good sort of mark of a figure, is if you can have a guy just sort of like almost unintentionally look really good. That's a good sign for a figure for me. Bane does come with a good amount of accessories. They really are just sort of alternate pieces, nothing too specific or crazy, but it is a good amount nonetheless. The way the sort of head works is that the back of the head is what is attaching from the ball joint up into this piece, and the tube, the sort of venom tube, is connected to that part all the way down to the forearm. So the face is what comes off. It does just plug in. So as you can kind of see here, you've got this sort of like peg with holes, and then you have this sort of face plate almost with the sort of like, you know, you match the slots and they plug in. So if we take this sort of alternate Bane face, we can just sort of pop that in like so, and then you have this more angrier, almost more stylized look at Bane. He does also come with a good amount of alternate hands, so you do get some sort of variety and expression work with the hands here, which is pretty neat. So if you kind of want to have him look like a luchador, right, you have this sort of like grappling look to him. He does have that, which is appreciated. He also comes with like a pointer finger, so if you kind of want him to look like he's pressing his venom tube here, getting it ready, activating it, you can do that, which I think is cool. Or, you know, just have him sort of like showing what's up, showing that he's number one. You could do that too. Or just commanding, right? Like he'd just be pointing at somebody. It's up to you. You can do, well, that looks like he's dancing or something. I don't know what's going on there. So overall, while he might not come with as much as, say, Batman does, he definitely makes up for it for the sort of pure size and the expressiveness of all of his motions and alternate hands and everything. And ultimately, I do think he comes with enough. Like, could they throw in a couple of items to make it more deluxe? Like maybe a teddy bear? It's not necessary. I think what he comes with is enough. It works. And honestly, I'm very happy with how he all comes together. So here's what it looks like, Bane and Batman side by side, and I mean, obviously, there's a very, very big size difference between the two. You know, I was talking about Batman earlier about how it's like, yeah, he's clearly shredded, right? Like, he has all the muscle definition that you'd expect from a 90s superhero, but ultimately, he does look like he has a bit more of a slimmer, athletic body, and then you can really tell that when you get Bane here, who's just this big, hulking behemoth of a character, and, you know, I'm not an expert on sort of like height charts and everything when it comes to the DC universe, but these look good together. You know, I don't know if it's a one-to-one exact sort of correct thing if you were to look at a comic book panel, but these guys look perfect in hand. I think that this is exactly how Bane and Batman should really look. Bane should be this larger-than-life character, and Batman should be, you know, he should be fit. He should be, you know, like an Olympic athlete, but you know, he's not the Hulk. He should look like a fairly normal-sized man, especially when compared to Bane. So looking at comparisons, I have the Hush Batman, also from Mafex. Of course, this is the only other Batman that I have in this line, so this should give you an idea of what it looks like next to this other Batman, and then of course this Batman villain. Now, the Hush line is designed to look like the Jim Lee art aesthetic, so, you know, it's not going to be a one-to-one with some of these other looks. You can really tell in terms of the Batman that, yeah, these are based on two different artists, but they still both look like Batman. It's not too much of a stretch. They do use different bodies from what I can tell, especially in the torso. Kind of hard to tell in terms of like the legs and things. Those might be similar, but in terms of the chest and like the abdomen and things like that, those are different pieces. And in terms of Bane, I mean, I think Bane can fit in with any Batman display, honestly. Like, seeing him next to Hush Batman, obviously Bane is not in the Hush storyline, but he does work here next to this Batman. It doesn't look out of place or wrong or anything like that. Sticking in the world of Batman villains, I did want to see what Harley Quinn looked like with these other characters. Once again, I think Harley Quinn looks really good next to Bane. You know, this is not a Knightfall character by any means. She wasn't even in that storyline. She didn't exist in the comics at that point. But if you wanted to kind of see what another Batman villain would look like, here's Harley Quinn and Batman and Bane. And just because I wanted to compare him to the previously biggest figure I had in the Mafex line, here is Steel from the Reign of Superman line. And yeah, I mean, Bane completely knocks him out of the water. Steel, I was super impressed with it, just how big and bulky and sort of empowering he really felt. And of course, next to Batman, he still has that sort of overall feel. But yeah, I mean, Bane is by far now the biggest one I have in this sort of Mafex Batman line. This video is brought to you in part by Hobby Link Japan. If you're a fan of things like Super Sentai or just Japanese media in general, why don't you check out Hobby Link Japan? They've got figures, statues, and a whole horde of different kind of collectibles. Click the link down in the description below to check out Hobby Link Japan today. And there you guys go. That is the Mafex Batman Knightfall, Batman and Bane figures. And honestly, I think these are stellar. I would highly recommend these. As I stated in the video, I'm not super versed in all the Bane figures out there. There's quite a few, and I really don't have a whole lot of them. However, I think it's very, very easy to see that this is one of, if not the best Bane figure on the market today. And if you're going to have Bane, then it makes sense to have this Batman to go with it. I think in terms of the Knightfall storyline, there are other characters to do. I think if you look at the Hush storyline and the Knightfall storyline, Mafex really has an opportunity to sort of kill two birds with one stone by having a Tim Drake Robin. Now, it would be cool if they included heads that kind of matched both, but who knows when that'll ever, eventually come out. But in terms of these figures, they are really strong. I hope they do a re-release of the Azrael Batman, because I missed out on that figure, and having these two, I feel like I really need that one. So if you like this line, if you like this story, then yeah, I would say get these figures. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. Feel free to check out some of my other videos. I've done videos on these sort of Mafex Batman and Superman figures before, so feel free to check those videos out. I've got other kinds of videos, other DC videos, other stuff like Transformers, G.I. Joe. Feel free to check it out. Subscribe. I'll have my socials down in the description below. And I guess that is pretty much it. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and take care. Oh, right, they both come with the stands, the sort of basic, like, stands with the things. Forgot to mention that.